Alright there YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Another video on Old Red, our Project 1983 Peterbilt 359. We've got a few miles on the truck here now, I think right around 7,000 miles. I want to go ahead and get it unhooked from the trailer. We're going to pull it in the shop. We're going to do a little maintenance. Kind of go over with you guys some of the little problems that we've had with the truck and get it ready to go for another week. Alright, so real quick, just to go over a few little issues I've already had with the truck and fixed, but I didn't really record because I was in a hurry. When I first started running this truck, I was having a little tiny bit of driveline vibration issue. It wasn't real bad, but it was noticeable. Now, I had checked the ride height on the rear end previously, just kind of going off this weld seam on the center of the housing here to the bottom of the frame rail. The ride height spec for this suspension states center line of the axle to the bottom of the frame rail. However, because this axle is, tipped back like this, for pinion angle, that weld seam's not actually true center line of the axle. What I had done is I just popped this chrome cap off, and on the end of the axle stub here, there's a center hole. I measured from that to the ground. And then I measured from the frame rail to the ground and then subtracted that measurement, and I was off by like a ½ inch. I made an adjustment to the leveling valve here, reset the ride height, and then that completely fixed my driveline vibration issue. So that was an easy one. Very first trip out here, my AC clutch decided to smoke itself. Took the bearing out of it. That wasn't a very good deal. So I threw a new AC compressor in here, new clutch. Went ahead and I flushed the lines. I put a new receiver dryer in, and I put new expansion valves in. Now I still got to finish charging up the system here. I didn't quite have enough R134 to get a full charge on this, so I still need to top that off, but I got enough in there. I was able to test the system. It's all working perfectly, so that's good. When it warms up a little bit more, I'm going to have some cold AC. Now it had a fuel line leak. I had to swing back by the shop here one day and bend up a new line, replace it. Kind of a pain in the butt, but you know, that wasn't too big of a deal. So far, all my tires and everything are wearing fantastic. Really happy with that. This truck rides really, really nice. Even without air ride on the cab, this thing just floats down the highway. Rides really, really nice. Drives nice. It drives nice and straight as an arrow going down the road, which is fantastic. Now, I had already moved my fifth wheel back about 4 inches. I'm probably going to have to move it about another 2 inches, so probably get to show you guys that. I'll get that done here this weekend, try to get it on this video. Just kind of trying to get all my axle weights squared away where they need to be. Now, as far as the motor goes, it's running really good. It's driving good. It's got decent power. Gets down the road just fine. Not really having any issues as far as that goes. However, she's drinking some oil, which kind of sucks. You know, from everything I'd seen, I didn't really think we were going to have to end frame this here real soon, but I'm using about 1 gallon of oil every 1,000 miles. So we're probably going to have to end frame this thing sooner than I was really hoping. Now, I'm not really sure exactly what my plan on that's going to be here yet. If it doesn't get any worse, I'm probably just going to try to run it this year like this, keep an eye on the oil, keep it topped off, and hopefully shouldn't have any problems with it. Then this winter, go ahead and tear it down and rebuild it. If it gets worse, I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll have to take this into a shop, let them in frame it, and I'll just hop in the Mac there for a week or two and run that one while they do that. You know, might end up doing that. Just kind of going to try to feel it out, decide what I'm going to do there. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the oil on this here today. Normally I would change oil between 10 to 15,000 miles. We've got about 7,000 miles on it now, but with the oil consumption and stuff, plus I've had valve train stuff off and stuff since this last oil was changed. Plus oil change has had a lot of idle time on it. I changed this quite a while ago, and then, you know, idle it, pull it in and out of the shop while I was working on stuff. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the oil a little early. We're going to move the fifth wheel. And I've got one slack adjuster on the back here that's not holding its adjustment. I think I've got another slack adjuster on the shelf here that'll work for this, so probably get that changed out as well. So anyway, let's get to it. I think we're going to go ahead and start by doing the fifth wheel. I'm going to pull these front axle fenders off of here just to get them out of the way. Alright, so I got my holes laid out that I'm going to drill here. Really, I need, to move this back 2 inches, I need this hole here and this hole here. It's all 2-inch centers. These wider spaced bolts here are 4 inches. These are 2 inches, 4 inches, 2 inches, 4 inches. So it's all divisible by 2. So if I have a hole every 2 inches, I can move this in 2-inch increments and everything will fall right in place. I added 2 more holes here on the back side just in case I need some future adjustment. I won't have to set up the drill again. And when I had already moved this back 4 inches, I already ended up with all 2 inches up here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 holes to drill here. Got them marked out on some masking tape, but I'm going to go ahead and center punch them. That way if my masking tape comes off or whatever, or the oil wipes the pen ink off, then I can still see where the mark is. So we're going to go ahead and center punch them, then get the mag drill set up here and get them drilled.
One way out, baby. Lord, I just can't go out that door. Ain't but one way out. Lord, I just can't go out that door. There's a man out there, might be a man, I don't know.
Trap woman up on the second floor. If I ever get out of this, I will trap no more. So open that window, baby, so I can move down soft and slow. And the neighbors hold the door about things they don't know. 'cause this man down there might be a man, I don't know.
And then we're gonna just punch a couple holes bottom of the oil filter. It's a little less messy that way.
'Cause this man down there,
And then let them drain out.
might be a man. Lord knows it just might be a man. I just don't know.
All right, now I like to pre-fill my filters. Now, on something this old, it doesn't really matter, but you see a lot of OEMs nowadays on newer stuff that specifically say not to pre-fill your filters. And the reason for that is because the tolerances on everything on these newer engines is so tight that any contamination at all can cause you serious problems, especially with fuel filters. The tolerances on your fuel injection system are so tight on everything nowadays that it really doesn't take much to wreak a bunch of havoc. But I do like to try to fill my filters from the outside rather than in the center hole, which is a lot easier because that's the direction that your oil or your fuel would pass through the filter in normal operation. The oil travels into the filter through the outside, through the filter element, and back up the center. So if you fill from the outside, then that reduces any risk of contamination greatly. It takes a little bit longer, but I think it's worth it. All right, so oil's all changed here now. Nice and full, nice clean oil. Now I know there's going to be someone that's going to comment, oh, you should have just rebuilt this thing before you tried to put it on the road. And you know, yeah. But the thing is I really didn't see anything in this motor that screamed out at me that it was going to need an end frame anytime real soon. And had I taken the time to end frame it before now, the truck still wouldn't be on the road yet. I just barely got it to this point in time to be able to put it on the road for this year. So even if I got to take it back down to end frame it, you know, I'm not really losing anything. Now, I'd really like to be able to end frame this myself. Not only would I save a bunch of money, but I'd be able to do the videos on it for you guys too. But we're going to continue to monitor the oil consumption here for a little while and then have to make a judgment call on what we're going to do there. But anyway, the next thing that we need to address here is slack adjuster. This is actually a spare slack adjuster I had on the shelf that goes to the Mac, but it looks to be the exact same slack adjuster. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that slack adjuster off of there, compare them, make sure that they're the same, which they appear to be, and if they are, I'll get that one put on there. Alright, so now to get this slack adjuster off, we're going to take this clevis pin out. Then we're going to take this nut off of the adjuster here. Okay, so now with the retaining clip and the outside washers off, we should be able to get this slack adjuster off. and that's supposed to be connected, so I think we see where our issue with that slack adjuster is. Ooh, that spline might be different. Let's see here. Alright, so we got our new slack adjuster on here. I had to go to a gunite because this has a different spline count than the slack adjuster that I had, and no one had the Helidex one that I needed, so I went to a gunite. It's the exact same thing, except it's just a different slack adjuster, but functionally they're identical. These ones set up a little bit different. You got to put this gauge over the clevis pins with the brakes released, and this gauge will line up to the center mark. See that center mark right there on the slack adjuster? And with the brakes released fully on both of these pins, it's got to line up to that, which it does. So that's all done, squared away there. Alright, so I think it's about time to start getting washed up here and call it a day. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below. Thank you. Have a great day.